Hey, I'm Victor Margiotta, and this is the Community Show. My guest is Scott Mettey, and he's a traveling minstrel, and he's going to come on and entertain us, and we are so blessed to have him on the show. But, of course, I have to thank James Brooks and Joe Pisano, because without their work and without their dedication and awesome work to be able to bring people like Scott on to talk about the community and talk about getting involved in the community. So, Scott, thank you so much for coming on.
Vic, it's great to see you. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
We forget it. It just happened. It seems like it was so long ago already, but
Yeah,
it's a new start.
it is. And every day is a gift.
Amen.
You know?
Absolutely. I believe that.
I love talking about family, so talk about your family first.
Well, we've all got family, and I'm very blessed to have a wonderful family. I'm an only child, which had its perks. But I have two wonderful parents who are alive and well, and they live in Garrison. We have family on Long Island in Connecticut, but we had a very loving, very close family. Holidays were always together, whether on Long Island or up at ours or up in Connecticut. My grandparents moved there when they retired from the phone company and Canada Dry. My grandfather worked for distribution for Canada Dry, so they moved up there. And so half of my childhood was spent up in the Mystic area, Stonington, Ledyard, where the casinos are now. So it was always spent with family, though. Even summer vacations, if we went camping, the cousins would come camping, and so it was always about being together and sharing, and just it's wonderful. And especially after the pandemic, as things are quieting now, hopefully quieting down a bit, we're able to spend some nice Christmas time together, and we spent a great Thanksgiving together. I'm sure you had the same thing.
Yeah, we used to go down to the Jersey Shore, Lavalette, which was awesome, and all the cousins would be there. And, it was awesome.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's important, and I think it's a rarity today. People need to remember what family is and what family can do for you.
Yeah, it's so true. It's the backbone.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Just like for me, church. I have 100 friends from church and lifelong friends and people that. That mean a lot to me.
They're family.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Talk a little bit about your involvement with your church.
I was raised Lutheran. I went to St. Luke's Lutheran Church in Putnam Valley, which is an absolutely fantastic old congregation. They've been there for ages. They have, and I say old congregation, they've been there for ages, but they are perhaps the most youthful and energetic and welcoming congregation. And one of the ways they do that is through their nursery school. St. Luke's Nursery School was founded almost 40 years ago by several different members of the congregation, including my mother, Madeline Mettey, and the bones of the nursery school have sustained them through decades and generations, and we're seeing now children of some of the first students are going there, and they have a wonderful program for pre-kindergarten. And we find that in the past, there's always been a lot of crossover into the congregation now. So they get involved in the church choir, or maybe they come and they volunteer for the altar guild, or the teen group, or to organize a bake sale. So we find that there's a lot of collaboration, and just same as you, Vic. I grew up in that church. Yeah. They're my family. I've got over 150 friends who are all family, who I saw much more than my regular family. I know.
And the whole purpose of Christmas is the birth of Jesus, and the fact that they worship this little baby, and they put him first. And then of course when he got older, I'm sure he needed to be kept in line, but. The fact that
have you met many 30-year-old Jewish boys who don't need to be kept in line? I mean, come on, you're from New York. No, I mean, I think the idea that we look at the arrival of Christ as not as a rebirth for us, but we have to get excited about him coming, because what it means for us spiritually, liturgically, not just keeping through the chug of the church year, but I think. The fact that it comes right before New Year's Eve, I think this year's Christmas services were probably observed a bit differently, a bit more reverently, and a bit more thankfully this year than in many other years. We saw it. We had a wonderful crowd Christmas Eve, and we had viewership online. St. Luke's Lutheran Church is on Facebook, and we stream every Sunday. so that folks can, maybe it snows and they're not comfortable. They can join us. Or maybe they don't feel comfortable coming out, or maybe, they're going through something right now and they just don't feel quite able, but they really could use some time to reflect and to connect with their church family. All they have to do is open it on their phones and look, and that's been huge for them.
Yeah,
and for us.
There's a few things that that are going to come out of this. For one, wearing masks during flu season is not a bad idea.
No. No.
The hand sanitizers when you walk into grocery stores.
Right.
Stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Could actually reduce the spread of the flu. So
I think anyone who's been, anyone who's traveled, been on an airplane, or anyone who's gone on a cruise. I mean, I can tell you personally, hand sanitization and sterilization of surfaces has been part and parcel of the cruise industry for 20 years. I was there when it started, and it's more important now than ever. But it's easy once you get in the habit of doing it.
Yeah,
wash your hands.
Well, I know.
It's it's simple. Everybody's mother, wash your hands. Don't put your fingers in your mouth, right? I mean, you can hear your mother. I can hear my mother. Don't touch that. You don't know where it's been. Don't chew on that.
I hear you.
But if we just remember now, okay, that's probably a good rule. Just do your bit. Just
I love that we talked about that common sense. There's a time and a place. Just like family gatherings. There's a time and a place. You don't really want to talk politics at family gatherings.
No. I mean, it's one of the fastest ways to find out who the village idiot is in your family. It's a great way to fish that out.
Yeah.
But I don't think everyone wants to know who the village idiot is in their family. Yeah. It's much better to just be friends and go on and enjoy the holiday. Do your thing.
How you're doing.
Right.
And can I do anything for you?
What really matters?
Yeah, exactly. Because you're not going to change the world by having an argument.
No, the president or the president-elect is not going to be the person. Neither those guys are deciding who I'm going to use to pave my driveway.
That's it.
They're not the ones who gave me the best price on baked potatoes last week. It doesn't figure into our value system if we really sit down and look to it. Other than, on a family-to-family level, to a point where it needs to be a point of contention and people need to be dismissing. Life's too short.
It is.
Get over it. I mean, you can't take yourself seriously like that.
So how did you get into music?
My folks were very generous in that they gave me musical toys and they exposed me to music. My father sang in the church choir. He played a little bit of piano. My mother can carry any tune in a bucket if you put it in there for her. But God love her, she's they're incredibly supportive. And as I say, they took me to concerts. Victor Borge as a child, we went to see Victor Borge.
He was funny.
We went to see Marcel Marceau. I mean, the great mime. The Canadian Brass, the New York Philharmonic. We went to see, into the city to Radio City Music Hall. But instead of just going to the show, they made sure that we went on the tour, so I could learn about the building, learn about the technology, the hydraulics in the stage, the incredible curtain, the organ, the Wurlitzer that's built into the actual building. This was appreciating what you're seeing. That was always a point for them. So, it was always arts and indulgence, but with education mixed in. And that's absolutely where the music came from. They just exposed me to it, and as soon as I was able to walk over to a piano and pick out some notes, I was, and other instruments trickled in. And yeah.
So do a little number for us.
Oh, okay. Yeah, go ahead and play.
Yeah.
Right? That's a great story. Why don't you play some music?
Yeah.
Well, I'm involved in a lot of different types of music, but traditional Irish music has been very, very important to me over my lifetime. My grandmother's people, actually my grandparents on both sides of my family, have connections to the west of Ireland and in the north of Ireland as well. And my best friend is from County Mayo in the west of Ireland. And so to be able to go over there, during my life and make connections with the people and the music has been monumental. To bring something that seems so far removed and then to go over to where it exists and to participate is really cool. Yeah, it's I can't really liken it anything other. Well, as a chef, I'll give you this. Imagine training your entire life because you love it to become a pastry chef, and then being able to go to the greatest kitchens in France and cook with Jacques Pepin, okay? And him welcoming you and saying, "Hey, what do you like to make? Let's make something together. You know, we can make some crepes or whatever. I've had enough of your crepe by now, but no, but seriously, if you could do that, if you could hang with your masters, you know, your musical idols. That's what Irish music was for me. So I'll give you a song that my grandmother used to love about. A lot of these songs from rural Ireland focused around farmland and farm animals.
Sure.
And during the difficult times in Ireland, it was not uncommon for people to steal livestock and sheep and goats and geese and all kinds of stuff. And this is a song about a farmer who had a beautiful goose, a beautiful drake, and someone stole it. And he's none too happy about it, and he wishes him quite a bit of ill. So here we go. This is Nell Flaherty's drake. Oh, my name it is Nell, and the truth for to tell, I come from Coot Hill, which I'll never deny. I had a fine drake, and I'd die for his sake, that my grandmother left me when she'd gone to die. The dear little fellow, his legs they were yellow, he could fly like a swallow, or swim like a hake, till some dirty robber, be he drunk or sober, did wantonly murder my beautiful drake. Oh, his neck it was green, almost fit to be seen. He was fit for a queen of the highest degree. His body was white, and it would you delight. He was plumb fat and heavy, and brisk as a bee. He was wholesome and sound, he would weigh 20 pound, and the universe round I would roam for his sake. Bad luck to the robber, be he drunk or sober, that wantonly murdered my beautiful drake. May his spade never dig, may his sow never pig, may each hair in his wig be well trashed with the flail. May his door never latch, may his turkeys not hatch, may his gate never hatch, may the rats eat his meal. May every old fairy from Cork to Dunleary dip him smug and airy in the river or lake, that the eel and the trout they may dine on the snout of that bastard who murdered my beautiful drake. Now the only good news that I have to infuse is that old Paddy Hughes and young Anthony Blake, also Johnny Dwyer and Corny Maguire, they each had a grandson of my darling drake. My treasure had dozens of nephews and cousins, and one I must get or my heart it will break, to wet my mind daisy or else I run crazy. So ends the whole song of Nell Flaherty's drake. A song about a goose who was cooked. Truly. Speaking about Christmas meals.
Oh my gosh, that's so good. Now you're involved in the St. Patrick's Committee in Peekskill.
Yeah.
They do
for
a lot.
Several years. They do everything.
It's unbelievable.
The parade committee in Peekskill has to be one of the strongest parade committees, not only in the tri-state area, but I'd wager on the Eastern Seaboard. From its inception to its present status as a foothold, a stronghold for the Irish community in the tri-state area, and particularly here in the Empire State, it has been a constant for pipe bands, for police and fire organizations, paramedic organizations, civic groups, churches, Boy Scout troops and Girl Scout troops. For so long. I mean, we're talking about a group of people, you know, who used to meet in the back room of Kelly's Pub, you know, and said, hey, you know, we could do this, we could do it well, we could do just as well as the city. And they had great minds in there and contributing, and boy, did they know how to run a parade, and they still do, under the capable chairmanship of Susan Sheridan, former fire captain for the city of Peekskill. and also, great Celtic luminaries. You've got Irish-American giants like Chuck McGrail, Dan Dennehy, Joselle Kinane, Kathy and John McGurty. You've got Bill and Cheryl Murray. You've got, everybody. We've had so many great locals who have been involved. Bill Powers, Deb Carlin Polhill, just so many people. I'm forgetting everybody. But, they're all part of the fabric of this community. And it's probably the only community where I think you could go to any business, any group, and say, hey, we could use your help. Join us, participate, come to our parade. We'd like to do an ad for our dinner. Would you like to join us? And they always say yes. Yeah. Always.
It's incredible. How do they pick the Grand Marshal?
Well, there's a lot of money that changes hands and back. No. It's a matter of merit. It's a matter of involvement. It's a matter of contribution and mark on the community. And I think it's also, it's a matter of how that person is, for a lack of a less, sort of haughty term, how they can liaise between the Irish community and the rest of the community. Are they a good conduit for Irish American culture, and arts and music, and culture in this area? Also, it's an Irish Catholic holiday. Okay, so the Ancient Order of Hibernians, the ladies, AOH. You've got groups for all. We hold the mass for the St. Patrick's Parade Committee in Assumption, which I've been honored to run with Kathy McGurty. Yeah. We took it over from Janine to Christopher when I had just become involved. Janine had been running it beautifully, and Kathy and I came in there, and we continued it. And we updated the program and added some. We changed the music completely. We completely overhauled the mass. It was very. It was nice, but it was predictable. I grew up as an organist. I started as an organist and choir director in my teens, having come from a Lutheran congregation. So I was prepared to take on the mass in a capacity where we could breathe some extra life into it, change the music, add maybe a more traditional Irish music element in it. It doesn't always have to be pipe organs and singing. You could have some tin whistle or some songs that are Irish themed. So we completely changed the hymns. I wrote a hymn which served as our entrance hymn, and we still use it as our entrance hymn, which is very, very exciting. I wrote that for the investiture of Joselle Kinane as our Grand Marshal. I wrote that in her honor for her Grand Marshal year. But all of those things being met, and the same for the aides, their names are proposed and they're voted on, and there they are.
It's incredible. My father was an aide one time.
I remember it well, and I remember the night. I remember the night we came down here to tell him that he was appointed. I remember the pub crawl I was with him on the bus, and I remember your father, God rest his soul, since I was a child. But he was one of him and your mother, just wonderful people. But the year he was an aide, oh my God, what a time! I know, what a time.
He loved it.
One person down here, the whole town was an aide that year for your dad.
Yeah.
He brought everybody with him, but that's what the parade committee does.
Yeah. Now there's so many other things that are going on. They just had the polar plunge.
That's right. Yeah. To benefit the This Is Me Foundation, which is run by Lauren Brady. Beyond being dynamic in the community, she's. I will say that she's a visionary. I mean, that's really the term I have to use. She, unlike many other people who make, a lot of people can go out, make noise in the community, but never get anything done. She sees a beginning, a middle, and an end to every single project before anybody else can even get there. Yeah. She really has it all figured out, and she's doing amazing things. Her work with the chamber was incredible, and we're very, very lucky to have her on the parade committee. She's, as well as some of the other members, are absolutely the future of the parade committee.
Yeah, it's great. And it takes a year. I mean, when it's over, then you got to start all over again, start planning for next year.
Yeah, just about the time that we return the beer kegs to Bertolini from the parade, it's time to start placing the order for the next year. It really does take a year between the bands and organizing the mass, getting the program done. Our chaplain is Father Jim Gardner from Graymore, who's an absolute rock star. He's just brilliant. Not too many priests are as dynamic as him. He's the great kind of spiritual leader. Where even as a Protestant, I'd go up to mass up at Graymore with Chuck McGrail and Joselle Canane on a Sunday, and we'd go to brunch afterwards. But we drag Father Jim out to brunch and ply him with martinis, and he was just as much fun in the pulpit as he was at the breakfast table. He's incredible. But we bring him up. Because he leads our mass. So we have to be in touch with him and make sure everything's sorted. And then, of course, the television production work that needs to be done is incredible, incredibly intricate, and the scripting, knowing the groups. You have to have two people up there who know everyone in the community, who can look down that cavalcade and say, here comes this band, and give the history because they know it, not because they're reading it. And we are very lucky to have incredible hosts. But yeah, it does take a year. I mean, the pub crawl or the Grand Marshal's Grand Tour is an incredibly involved process. And without the Quiet Man to act as sort of our headquarters, our clubhouse, sort of not even necessarily just. Not for official meetings, because we've been very lucky to be in the Elks, and we've had a couple of different other locations over the years. But to have the Quiet Man as our home for the late night brainstorming, hey, what if we tried this, or have you ever thought about doing this, or what do you think this would look like? That's where some of the best ideas come from. I hate to say it, but that's when you go to a dinner dance, you don't go listen to the speeches. You go to the bar. That's where the business is taking place. The brainstorming and the wheeling and the dealing and the networking and the collaboration is happening in the bar. And that's we would come up with so many great ideas about ways to improve or to reach the Irish community at large, to help represent the Irish community. It all come to us over a pint, and it's going to be, we'll do it, but we're going to have to figure out how we're going to do it. We were very lucky to have the Quiet Man as our home.
It's not really St. Patrick's Day. It's more like St. Patrick's Month.
It does, yeah. We call it the High Holy Season. The pipe bands will call it the High Holy Season. But it is in fact a season. It starts in March. I remember doing St. Patrick's Day gigs a couple of years in the end of February. Because depending on when it falls, during the week.
Yeah, right. Usually you want to have it on the weekend. Right. You don't want to have it during the week. So.
Because then you got to split your parades, and you might have one Saturday, you got Yonkers, Mount Kisco, Yorktown, Cold Spring, Poughkeepsie, Wappingers Falls.
That's the other thing. You don't want them all on the same day. No.
You lose bands.
Yes.
And you lose people, because Peekskill's a great parade, but, when your dad is a piper or a drummer with a band that's doing the White Plains Parade, you got to go to White Plains, We're very lucky. The bands sometimes will split the day. They'll make sure they get in the front of that parade, and they come up and do ours if we put them at the end.
Yeah.
But Joe Brady...
Joe Brady's awesome.
My pal, Pipey.
Yeah, he's great.
I love him, and he's been a tremendous influence, as was his father before him.
Yeah.
And this is Joe Sr.'s tin whistle.
Oh my God.
This tin whistle was one that Joe played in sessions all the time, and Joe Jr. Very graciously gifted it to me when he was going through some of Joe Sr.'s things. It was lovely. I was very, very touched. I play it all the time. But when you think about all of the music that has to be made in that season, and we're just the Irish community is big, but you could probably put all of the musicians inside the seats of the Paramount, in the area, maybe, and sort of man every bar, every pub with live music and fill every parade. It's a lot. Yeah. But Joe has been an absolute renegade, keeping the bands up, great relationships with them, making sure that they're on time, making sure that they're prompt, that they do a good job before he hands them that check. But Joe has been
thanks, Joe.
An absolute pillar. Pillar,
for sure.
Pillar of that parade.
He was just here. Doug Ferroni was here. We
had
a Christmas, and he brought Joe here, and he did a little. It was awesome.
I saw some pictures.
Oh, you did? Okay. Yeah, it was beautiful.
Yeah, Joe's a rock star. Joe, I mean, he'll play. He really is like, he's like we were talking about the Chieftains earlier. He really is. he'll play with anybody. He can. I mean, he can play with anybody. If musically it's feasible, if he can sort of make it work, he will, and he'll do an incredible job with it. You know, you think about places that music and the Irish community, Irish culture can take you. There was one St. Patrick's morning that you ever have that moment where you're doing something fun and you just stop and you say, look at where I am right now. Like, how did this happen? Like, what is going on? This is great. St. Patrick's Day 5 or 6 years ago, I'm standing in the back of the 69th Street Armory in the wardroom drinking whiskey with my father, Lou Mettey, who is a life member of the Continental Village Fire Department and a founding member of the Cold Spring Pipe Band. He's also a member of my sea shanty group. I'm standing with my father, Joe Brady, Jr., and the President Obama's chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Martin E. Dempsey, in the back wardroom on St. Patrick's morning, drinking whiskey, getting ready to welcome the entire Fighting 69th Regiment to the Armory on St. Patrick's morning with their family. And General Dempsey sang to them. He sang to the entire arena Irish songs for St. Patrick's Day. It was incredible.
Scott, great show. I'm so glad you came on.
Thank you for having me.
And, you know, actually, we're going to have to do part 2.
We will. You know what you need to do? You got to come down to my sea shanty gathering.
Okay.
We do it once a month. I'll let you know what it is, but there's a lot of music going on, and I think it's time.
Okay. I'm Victor Margiotta. This is the Community Show. Thank you for watching. And Skip's going to take us out on a little music.